prosecution is not going to get that man today. No, because I'm going to get him.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special Friday, September 7th edition of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. My name is Joe Hagmann. My co-host is Doug Hagmann.
Should be the other way around, folks.
We are the premier father and son radio, internet show, fastest growing, I'd say.
We're even beating, who did I say?
I don't remember, but it was a very prominent person who has a show on Blog Talk Radio. But anyways...
Cindy Sheehan. We're beating Cindy Sheehan, by the way, in the ratings, which I thought was pretty funny.
If we look like we are unprepared and sweating, we are, because we set up our whole new audio and
yes,
radio.
We should sound better.
Station.
Do we sound better, folks?
Yeah,
if we do. Regardless, we've got a lot of news and a lot of no sound. No sound.
One person says no sound.
Don't play with us now.
Can you hear us?
Are you serious?
Can you hear us?
Don't play.
Check to see if we're not muted on Skype.
Okay.
I have sound.
There we go.
Thank you guys in the chat room.
All right.
For those of you listening to the archives, I just want to say we apologize for the times we interact with the chat. We have to find out where we're at, if we're even on air. So when you listen to the archive, it doesn't matter.
Sometimes we go blank, and it disturbs us. It knocks us off. It affects our mojo.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in last night. It was a 3-hour show. It was a great show with Dr. Paul Hagstrom and Steve Quayle. If you have a chance, we're going to be putting that up on our archives. I'm behind on updating our website, but it's available on BTR Archives. As you go to the right-hand side of our site, click on the right-hand column there where it says RSS feed. You'll get it that way.
Yeah, and it was an excellent show last night. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know tonight is a what do we call it?
Fantastic Friday.
Fantastic Friday.
It's a free-for-all Friday.
Open lines.
Open lines.
All during the show. Call in on any topic that you feel is important, anything you want to discuss. Right. And we will take your calls. The number is 661-244-9839.
And for those of you watching, I just want to say this: we should be coming across in high def. If you can see us, we should be coming across in high def.
Now, I got a question for you.
Yes.
I can email you. Your email is not the same now.
Well, no.
Okay.
I mean, it is the same, but for you, no.
Because I have a show prep that I put together, and I usually email to you.
Just look over your shoulder.
Yeah, you'll have to read off my.
Actually, I'm more prepared than you think. Look, folks.
A lot of news today.
Yeah.
Especially along the economic lines, as job reports were released, and Federal Reserve is going to be pumping more money. Apparently, the job number unemployment
for certain.
Unemployment, they say, dropped 0.2% to 8.1 from 8.3 last month.
Right.
But not because more people got jobs. It was because more people dropped out of looking for jobs, or dropped out of the workforce.
They fudged the numbers.
While the unemployment rate did drop to 8.1% from 8.3 in July, that was only because many Americans gave up the hunt for work. And that was done by a survey from which the jobless rate is derived, actually showed a drop in employment. The lackluster report piled pressure on Obama ahead of the November vote, in which health of the economy looms large. And what we see from economists, and I'm reading, this is an article from Reuters, it's called Grim Jobs Market Confronts Obama and Fed. And it says job growth slowed sharply in August, setting the stage for the Federal Reserve to pump additional money into the sluggish economy next week, and dealing a blow to President Barack Obama as he seeks re-election.
That's right.
What they plan to do is pump QE3 $500 to $600 billion in currency into our economy. In this article, they have a section called "Stuck in the Mud," and they really don't get in, they say stuck in the mud. It's more like falling off a cliff, because what this goes on to saying, and there's an economist here, he says, his name is Nigel Galt, he says, with what the Federal Reserve is doing with quantitative easing, that we don't think these measures will be very effective in boosting growth. But for the Fed, it's a question of trying to do what it can. It also goes on to say, an economist from J.P. Morgan, in terms of the broader economy, today's numbers should check any enthusiasm that the economy was gaining momentum toward the end of summer. Instead, the economy appears to remain stuck in the mud. That was from Michael Ferroli, an economist at J.P. Morgan, New York.
Right.
And they go on to talk about how this is going to further or start a new recession, a new economic cliff, as they say. But really, we never were out of the first recession. It is all just a big word game. But the real question is, are you better off than you were when Obama got elected?
Well,
and if you remember what Obama said...
It's not even Obama. It transcends that, Joe. I think, are you better off today versus you were, 1970, for example,
right,
or even decades ago?
We have the lowest workforce precipitation rate since September of '81. The jobless rate had dropped to 8.1, but only because the workforce shrunk.
Right.
And Obama knew of figures before his speech. Just 96,000 jobs were added in August, as 368,000 people leave the workforce in a bleak employment report. And that's what we just went over. And I'm going to play this clip to remind people what Obama said about the economy when he got into office.
Look, I'm at the start of my administration. One nice thing about the situation I find myself in is that I will be held accountable. I've got 4 years.
You're going to know quickly how people feel about what's happening.
That's exactly right. And a year from now, I think people are going to see that we're starting to make some progress, but there's still going to be some pain out there. If I don't have this done in 3 years, then there's going to be a one-term proposition.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that was an interview done where Obama says, the people will hold me accountable.
You've heard that before.
He made promises during his campaign run for his first election that he would drop the deficit in half, or cut the deficit in half, or at least attempt to cut the deficit in half. This man has spent more money than all previous presidents combined. And George Bush spent, put a huge amount on the debt, as well as Obama did. And this is the New World Order, Illuminati, globalist, satanic agenda to destroy the United States economy while rising the China East Asian status of their economy to be the new. They are placing China and Eurasia or East Asia in a position to be the new superpower of the world.
Yeah, and if you've seen gold today, it's taken off like a rocket.
Really?
And it's when I say like a rocket, it's just starting the upward trend, and it's like a 90-degree angle. China announced $1 trillion yuan influx of money for infrastructure projects in the bid to revive their economic growth. And what this is doing, okay. Now, they're the second largest economy, and they're hoping that this is going to drive a recovery. But the bottom line with this is it's kind of not described as, but it is a stimulus package. This is a Chinese stimulus package. So what we're seeing here is all across the globe, governments, I should say, are printing money.
Yeah.
It's all counterfeit money.
And I want to say, I don't know, I bought a few, 10 silver coins. I don't know how long ago that was. I gave my dad one. He might remember the time that was, a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. And they were $28 at that time.
Right.
I'm looking at the spot silver right now, and it's at 33.690. So almost 33.7, $33.70. So that has gone up $5 in the short time since I've heard.
More than I do then.
I mean, think about that. 10 coins,
yeah.
$5 a coin. That's a $50 increase.
But again, it's what, like, for example, our listeners. So what? Well, here's the deal: if you don't have silver, like we can't buy, I can't buy silver.
Right.
I can't buy gold. So
me neither. I mean, we're in this problem too.
But here's the thing: we have to understand with the way the economy is, and talking with people. Heck with silver. I mean, you can't eat
food.
Food. Okay, food is going to go tremendously high.
And I was talking to a listener and a friend of the show, and I told you guys, I think 2 nights ago, that I was wondering whether I should buy some more silver or food. I was asking myself and the Lord this question in my head,
right?
And I got an answer before I could finish the question,
really,
which was food.
Sure.
And there is it seems like people, all who are aware, know something's coming. The Watchmen, the Rick Wiles and the Steve Quayles of the world are the few of them that are in America.
The true Watchmen, that's
worried.
Right.
They really feel this burden that something is going to take place. They're not saying what it could be. It could be anything. It could be anywhere. I mean, but they feel that same burden. They feel the unease in the air, the uneasiness, and they know something's coming down the road. We do know there's going to be war with Iran. We just don't know when. We do know the economy is going to collapse. We just don't know when. And how do we know this? We know this because we cannot recover. We cannot take back our economy, pay off the debt at the way the current system works.
That's
it is
correct.
Absolutely impossible. And the only thing that is keeping it together is these quantitative easing programs, and basically stealing consumers' money to keep it going, pretty much, from what we've seen from people like John Corzine. We do have some people on the phone.
I want to say this before we move on, away from this financial news. Mario Draghi from Italy, he actually is trying to prevent a European meltdown in the Eurozone.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. Now this, they're doing everything they can. And look, the Eurozone, and it's important for people to understand, the Eurozone right now, I mean, well, they're socialists. I mean, obviously, they've got socialist tendencies. Their economy, everything is based on socialism. Well, they're doing everything they can to defer an economic meltdown until after the election. If Obama wins just the day after, I have a sense that he will make the United States taxpayers bail out the European elite, if you will. And if he loses, maybe even if he loses, he'll do that before he leaves office. But the Euros will take down the United States economy, and that's going to leave, if Romney gets in, people, there's going to be a blame for against Romney. Now it's a blame game, but it's a dog and pony show, because we know that the bankers are behind this. The Euro socialists are behind this. They're doing everything that they can.
Yeah.
Now don't forget, Mario Draghi is an ex-Goldman Sachs vice president, and what more can we say about that?
Yeah.
And
on a important piece of news today, I saw this, which is an indicator for me. Canada cut ties with Iran. It closed its embassies and ordered the Iranian diplomats home.
Right.
And when we start to see nations taking people out of their embassies, taking their UN troops out, taking their ambassadors and delegates or diplomats out of the countries, and we see, not 1, 2, 3, 4 countries doing it, but more. That is an indicator that something is going to come down in Iran, or at least people in Canada think that is going to happen, because there's no other reason to remove your people from your embassy, your mobile government station in Iran for the Canadians to leave. And this Foreign Affairs Minister, John Barrett, has severed Canadian ties over Iran and the terrorism claims amid fears about safety of diplomats in the country. He said the Canadian embassies in Tehran will close immediately, and Iranian diplomats in Canada have been given 5 days to leave. The skeleton staff that was operating Canada's Tehran mission has already fled the country.
It's getting close. Whatever it is,
yes,
You've got Netanyahu. You've got the people yelling at the American ambassador. You've got the people saying over there, both sides saying the next 4 weeks or 6 weeks, I'm sorry, are going to be the most dangerous 6 weeks in that area. So it appears that, barring anything odd or out of the ordinary, we're going to see a war start in the Middle East. Now, I did touch on that subject in an article I wrote that appears on Canada Free Press, CanadaFreePress.com, and HomelandSecurityUS.com. Posted that today. It was actually about the and I wanted to mention this as well very quickly.
Sure.
This was about the DNC platform. Okay.
Yeah.
Now
we have a lot of audio and information on this.
Let's get into that real quick right now, and we'll bring up the audio real quick.
All right. Well, we'll get it. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, one of the worst political creatures in Washington, the DNC chairwoman, the Democrat out of Florida, says the omission of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and the word of God from the party platform was a technical oversight because it is many pages long.
Stop right there, folks. Now here's the deal. Every 4 years, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, they have this committee, and this committee nails out or ekes out this party platform. This platform reflects, the planks of the platform reflect what the next 4 years stand for. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in 2008, I believe they mentioned God 7 times, or whatever. It was a limited number of times, but still, they mentioned God, and they talked about Jerusalem recognizing Jerusalem as a capital of Israel. Well, for 2012, they omitted God completely from their platform. Number one, and number two, they omitted any reference to Jerusalem as being the capital of Israel.
Yes.
Now, I've got a real big problem with that.
Not only that, the State Department had two separate, remember they said, I think it was Tel Aviv was one city and Jerusalem was the other. They would not designate a capital.
Well, they wouldn't even put Jerusalem in the same country as Israel. That's the State Department. Well, here's a problem I have. Israel's been a nation for well over 60 years, or 60 plus years now. Am I right? 48? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The issue is if the American presidents had the guts, we would move our embassy to Jerusalem, as we do all capital cities and countries. But we don't have these people don't have the fortitude to do this. Well, okay. So anyway, the article, as far as my article is concerned, I was very concerned. If you watched Wednesday's DNC, and you watch the LA mayor up there asking for a voice vote to amend the platform, to put that language back in, right? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay. But we've got new people listening right now. Folks, if you watch that, what struck me was the biblical significance. Essentially, the party denied that request 3 times.
Yeah.
Just like Peter, just like when Jesus said to Peter, before the rooster crows
3 times.
Yeah, you will have denied me 3 times.
Yeah.
And Peter says, no, that's not going to happen. But yes, it did. Okay, so Steve said last night that the Bible has a lot of significance. I mean, numbers play a significant role in the Bible. 3, 7, that type of thing. So I find it very ominous where the rank and file in the DNC denied.
Yeah, voted 3 times against.
Right. Now, of course, the LA mayor, I can never pronounce his last name. He's Hispanic, but that's fine. It was almost as if he was in another dimension. He said motion carried, that's it, period. But see, if you look very carefully, folks, if you watch the clip from that event, you're going to see the most vocal of the rank and file as being a contingent of Arab Americans from Michigan, specifically from Michigan. And if you really, I'd like you to sometime this weekend find it on YouTube. Look at those people. Look at the intensity. Look at the hatred. Look at the intolerance. It's to me, it's something that is reflective of it's just reflective of what's going on. And what they're doing is significant 3 times, and then the intolerance by the.
So yeah, and what the Democratic Party as a whole is doing is really undermining Israel. They're undermining their government, backing off, saying, they're going from being very supportive of Israel, saying that they're pro, Israel and going to help them with any problems that may arise, and at the same time they're saying they're not going to help Israel. It's a very confusing situation.
Yes. Now, I want to say this, folks. I called the Democratic National Committee today twice in Washington for one purpose. I wanted to know how many pages that paper was.
Good question, yeah.
Because Debbie Wasserman Schultz says, it's too many pages.
Yeah, was it two?
I don't believe that. I don't believe it was too many pages. So, but I left a message the first time, explained I was representing Canada Free Press. I was just curious as to how long that, and if it was available on the internet. And then I did a pretty thorough search on the internet. So I couldn't find it. So if you find the Democratic National Committee's platform in PDF format, let me know, because I'd like to take a look and see how long it is.
Yeah.
But I never did get a response back. I called again, left another message, and still, as of 5 p.m. Eastern, did not get a response back. But I cannot believe, and don't think for 1 minute that this was, that the omissions were innocuous. Well, they were deliberate.
Yeah, we're going to go through this. Mel, Lucy, and others, stay on hold. We're going to take your calls. We're going to play this short video and explain this. Debbie Wasserman Schultz says the omission of Jerusalem.
This is audio or video or both?
This is both.
Okay.
We're going to play a clip from CNN reporter, and what she said to Debbie Wasserman Schultz and what her responses were.
Okay.
And then after that, we have another clip by Anderson Cooper. Now, Anderson Cooper...
let's play these back to
back. For
back,
Anderson Cooper to say this, he said Debbie Wasserman Schultz is living in an alternative universe.
All right. Yeah, I think...
Anderson Cooper isn't really living in this universe where we live, us, our audience, and many other...
Anderson Cooper is an interesting
God-fearing Christians. But for him to say that, it's pretty incredible. Now, here is the short audio clip on one of the excuses that Debbie Wasserman Schultz gave to reporters about why
this is not audio or video, this is just audio.
No mention of the word God, even though there was last time, and there is about 10 times in the Republican platform. Why is that?
Well, we have a commitment through all faith traditions that our values are reflected in our policy. And that means that we should look out for the least of these, that we should fight for the middle class, that we should help everyone in America have an opportunity to be successful.
Right, but was the word God deliberately taken out, or was it a mistake?
Oh, of course not. Of course not. We have a platform that actually reflects the values of many faith traditions, and it's the policy.
The thing is, somebody has deliberately taken out the word God, because it was in the last one.
I can assure you that no one has deliberately taken God out of our platform.
So it was an accident.
What I can tell you is that our policies and our values are reflected in many faith traditions, and that's what our platform is all about.
Okay, what about the other strange comments which came out about Israel and Jerusalem? Jerusalem is and will remain the capital of Israel, was in 2008 platform, no longer there. And also this idea that Israel was the closest ally of America in the Middle East, that's also come out. Why would they come out, those things?
Throughout our platform, it is very clear that President Obama and Democrats are committed to maintaining a strong U.S.-Israel relationship, maintaining Israel and supporting Israel as a Jewish and democratic state, and ensuring that we have the strongest possible language, much stronger than the language the Republicans have used, on ensuring that Iran can never achieve a nuclear weapon. Our platform actually says that we are committed to ensuring that we use all the instrumentation available to us to ensure that Iran never achieves a nuclear weapon. The Republicans simply say all options are on the table. So in words and in deeds, President Obama has stood by Israel and always will.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
now this next clip is even worse.
So this
than,
is just audio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now this next clip is Anderson Cooper talking to Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and he goes a little bit harder with the questions. This is a 5-minute, almost 6-minute video.
Yeah, and
but
listen carefully,
in
folks,
here.
to this. That's right.
She says there's a comment she makes in here that is one of the biggest lies I've ever heard her make, and she lies every day.
But, okay.
Every time I see her on TV.
And we're not playing these just to play them, okay?
No.
Because there's information in here. There's subtleties in here that you guys need to know. And also, too, don't forget, as we always say, Genesis 12, verse 2. I mean, I've been getting, ever since that story was posted, I've been getting emails in my office saying, saying a lot of things, but demanding we take down our flag, the Israeli flag on our website. Demanding.
And I wanted to address that, but first of all, I'm going to take this call, and Lucy and Mel, hold on. This caller is going to be a guest on our show next week. I'm going to put her on here and grab her information, as I am unprepared as usual.
Were we changing? We changing tracks here?
No, I told you about this.
Yeah, I know, but are we postponing?
Yeah, we're jumping the topic right now.
All right. Then explain to the audience what's going on here, please.
On the line with us right now is Leslie Carol Botha. Leslie, are you there?
Yes, I am there.
Hi, I talked with Leslie earlier, and there is an article I will post in the chat room and also read out loud for you guys listening archives. Foreign DNA, other substances from vaccinations found in sick, disabled, and dying children. This coming from a report titled, or a paper titled, Unveiling the Culprit. Is foreign DNA contamination the autistic villain behind biologic vaccine injuries? I'm sorry. And this was done by Mrs. Leslie Botha, and she is on the phone with us. She has a very long bio. This lady, I mean, I was reading, going through this with my father before the show, and I'm just amazed at all the things you are involved in. She is a member of Women, or I forget the name, People Against Gardasil. She has scientifically proven, that there is major harm being done to people through vaccinations. And before I butcher this anymore, Miss Botha, I'll let you talk.
We want to welcome you to the Hagmann Report. We kind of
thank you.
We kind of changed topics here.
I was listening in, and my time is limited, and this is a timely press release. I heard what you folks were saying about how food is going to get really expensive, and I agree with that. I mean, we all know that, but we need to be really diligent about the types of foods that we're putting in our body and the types of medications that we're putting in the body, because those are the things that are going to harm us. More than anything else, more than the cost of the food. It's what they're going to do to us. So, of course, I'm sure you've spoken about genetically modified foods before, so I'm not going to go down that road with your listeners. But as a member of as I head up the Women's Health Freedom Coalition for the Natural Solutions Foundation, I've been involved with. I'm also a member of the Society for Menstrual Cycle Research, and my main focus is on women's health. And in being involved with all of this, I have gotten to speak with a lot of PhDs, doctors. Dr. Andrew Wakefield, I had breakfast with him when I was in London last year, speaking at the British Society for Ecological Medicine conference. All over. Chris Shaw up in Canada, Dr. Sin-Hung Lee, who is just really nailed this HPV vaccine. And if you're just getting familiar with this HPV vaccine Gardasil issue, folks. We knew it was dangerous to begin with, but the whole puzzle is coming together as to why. And of course, here's the deal. There's so many toxins in vaccines, and now we know that there's foreign DNA in vaccines. It's hard to separate out what is causing the problem, and that's part of pharma's grand design. But what we have come up with is that this foreign DNA, this recombinant DNA, which is classified as a biohazard, has been found in Gardasil through the work of Dr. Sin-Hung Lee, and has also now been found in the MMR2 vaccines. And that work was, and that DNA was found by Dr. Hagmann Polanski of the Center for the Biology of Chronic Disease, who have mysteriously kind of disappeared off the internet, if you get my drift on that one.
We do.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So the deal is, and Sanevax just released a report, and they're going to be releasing more here really soon about contaminated rDNA. Was actually found in the spleen and the bloodstream of a girl who died 6 months post Gardasil vaccination up in New Zealand.
Wow.
They did an autopsy on that. So, the story gets better. This is like sci-fi, folks. So, but before they even found it in the bloodstream, Norma Erickson, the president of Sanevax, was contacted by a mother out of Canada, said, my daughter's got HPV in her blood. And Norma went back to all of our colleagues and said, HPV in the blood? Anybody know why? Because natural HPV, according to Dr. Lee, disappears within a couple hours after it gets into the bloodstream, after it's injected. But for this unnatural, what we found out to be an unnatural HPV DNA, to be in the blood a couple of years later, was unheard of. So it was Norma who suggested that we have the vials tested. And we could do that with the help of Dr. Sin-Hung Lee through his Milford Medical Lab in Milford, Connecticut. And we got 13 vials from around the country, around the world, 13 different manufacturers and 13 different lot numbers.
Okay. And
100% were contaminated with recombinant HPV DNA.
so this cannot be an accident, can it?
Well, and here's the story gets better. Then we found Dr. Hagmann Polanski with the Center for the Biology of Chronic Disease. He has written this book called The Purple Book, Micro-Competition with Foreign DNA and the Origin of Chronic Disease. And I was speaking with him just because they issued a press release on Gardasil that we thought was kind of interesting. I thought, really, an organization besides all of us women coming out on this Gardasil issue? And he said that the contamination did not belong there, but the contamination actually came from the faulty manufacturing process.
The faulty manufacturing process.
Okay, and listen, I'm not done yet here. The faulty manufacturing process, not just for vaccines, but for all biologic medicines.
Wow. Okay.
Sure.
With such
the top down market.
when you say for all biological medicine, give me an example, please.
I think it was one. I'm going to have to do a quick search. I don't have that.
No, that's fine.
Maybe one of yours.
That's fine.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so the issue got really exponentially huge. You know, Sanevax is actually on the FDA's website denying all of this, saying, oh, yeah, well, we know it's supposed to be in there, but that little amount, that's not going to be a big deal. I mean, because the FDA and the EMA, the European Medical Agency, and every global health agency had said no viral DNA in the vaccines.
Okay.
Well, indeed,
Wow.
he found it in the vaccines, and they were saying, "Oh, it's such a minute amount," but you're right, it doesn't belong there, but it's not going to bother anybody.
Wow.
Well, there are now over 26,000 adverse reports from girls adversely injured from the HPV vaccines. We estimate, well, the National Vaccine Information Center estimates that's 1 to 10% of the vaccine-injured girls reporting. Why is that? Let me tell you why that is. Because nobody relates illness, injury, flu-like symptoms to vaccines. Nobody relates sickness to vaccines.
Wow. Okay.
We also have over 100 girls who have dropped dead, and I literally mean dropped dead. There are reports of some girls dying before they hit the floor, dropping dead, in bathtubs, in showers, rooms, and then there's so many problems with these girls. And now the vaccine has been on the market 5-6 years. The efficacy really is about up, which makes the vaccine even more crazy. And these girls are still sick.
Wow.
And so what we're thinking, and of course I had to put all of this together in this article and really think hard about it, but according to Dr. Polanski, well, Dr. Sin Hung Lee, this is what happened. This HPV rDNA was bound to aluminum, and the aluminum allowed it to get into the bloodstream. So now you've got an HPV rDNA, a recombinant DNA,
Right.
Right? In the bloodstream. The only way for it to survive is to invade a cell with normal DNA. So now you've got a recombinant DNA
Right.
in a cell with a normal DNA. There are no studies done on the outcome of that happening. There are no studies done on how to get this out of the body once it's in the body. There are no studies.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, this is all big pharma pushing out this massive vaccination, contaminated, if you will, vaccination, knowingly doing this, saying, we know that this foreign DNA, this foreign stuff is in there, but it's certainly not enough to cause any injury. Meanwhile, you've got people dropping dead. That's what you're saying, right?
Meanwhile, we've got people dropping dead, and the girls who are sick, many of them are very, very, very sick. I could take 10 minutes now and go through all of the side effects that have been reported.
Oh.
Everything from seizures, paralysis, hormone imbalance, autoimmune disorders, lupus, MS. The list goes on and on. When we were at the British Society for Ecological Medicine conference, we had them all in a PowerPoint slide, and when that slide went up on that screen in front of hundreds of people, I still hear the gasp today.
Wow.
About adrenal failure, adrenal issues, allergies, vision problems. These girls have pelvic inflammatory disease. Some girls have lost their ovaries at age 13. One girl in Australia died at 14 from the most rare form of ovarian cancer.
Wow.
Not even cervical cancer.
Ovarian cancer.
And when I come back on the show, we're going to go through all of this, and, I'll certainly explain our theories on why this vaccine is dangerous. But we all have to be aware of these biologic medicines and the potential for this contamination from the manufacturing process. And, folks, it's nutrition. It's nutrition. It's not medicine. And we need to come full circle on this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You do very important work in exposing the dangers of vaccines. And I don't know if you're familiar with Steve Quayle. He is a frequent guest and a friend of this program and us. And he wrote a book called Genetic Armageddon. And he talks about the biometric or the bioengineering lie and how they are transforming DNA technology by using very light oversight and being funded by some of the most nefarious people and agencies in the governments, and without knowing the damages that they are doing to mankind by altering the animals, the plants, the food, the water, the humans. And what your work is showing is that in these vaccines, they are actually leading to the illnesses or deaths of people, innocent people, just because they got a vaccine that they may or may not even need. Yep.
Exactly, and here's the deal. Cervical cancer is so rare in this country. It's the 12th leading cause of cancer in the nation, according to the American Cancer Society. The number of women that get cervical cancer and die from cervical cancer certainly does not warrant the mass inoculation of every single adolescent girl and adolescent boy in this country. And pap smears, screening, cervical cancer screening are much more effective, much less dangerous, and much less invasive. So it is a real problem, but it's a wake-up call for us. It's a wake-up call for us. We've let them do this to us.
Yeah.
Well,
and
when you say we've let them do this to us, who's them that you're talking about specifically in this case?
We gave up power over our bodies to the government.
Okay.
We became a very pill-happy society.
Right.
We became a very consumer society and a quick-fix society. I want it done now. I want that headache to go away now.
Yes.
Don't hand me this nutrition crap because that's going to take time. I don't want to be in pain now. Now, it's too late for many of us. The side effects are and here's the deal, people. Toxins stay in the body. Heavy metals stay in the body. And so, and all the great doctors say this, including Dr. Andrew Molden, that toxins are cumulative, summative, and additive. And nobody knows where the tipping point is. And my tipping point is going to be different than your tipping point based on our biochemical differences and how well we take care of our bodies. This is why we see people flipping out. We just had this Aurora Massacre Theater here in Colorado.
Yes.
That shook up the whole world. I had a brilliant guest on my radio show, and I suggest that you interview him here too. Richard Diaz, Illness Defined, is the name of his book, and his premise is if you have been diagnosed and there is no probable cause, and actually not even diagnosed, nobody knows what you've got, and nobody knows the cure for what you've got. He's saying it's heavy metal toxicity.
Interesting.
And he made a brilliant point after point after point of people who have done these mass killings and committed mass crimes who have been exposed to heavy metals.
Now,
and then they just flip.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was a lot of talk and scientific evidence of these chemtrails having heavy metals like barium, aluminum, and mercury, salt, and some sulfur, I think, and the effects that is having on us and our on the nature and trees and the grass, soil, and
it's a slow kill that you're talking about. A slow kill here, Ms. Botha. Is that right?
Yeah, we're talking about. Well, it depends on the health of our bodies.
Okay, that's
for
fair.
each generation, it's going to be a faster kill.
Is this population?
There are 300, at least 300 toxic chemicals found in the umbilical cord of babies.
Wow.
I think I made my point. I think here.
Yes, you did. You just did. Now,
can you please?
Really important. Yeah.
Can you please tell our audience about your website and anything else that you have going on that you would like to promote before you come on?
In advance of your appearance on our show, folks, this is Leslie Botha. Thank you so much for coming on tonight and just kind of giving people a warm-up.
Yeah, I contacted
it's a warm-up. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Because I'll tell you what, folks, buckle in when she comes on. I'll tell you what, this woman has got the scoop. But go ahead and give us your website and your show.
Absolutely. Yeah, my website is holyhormones.com. That's holy with an H, because our hormones are sacred, and that goes for both men and women. And I started this thing in the 1980s, and it was a feed off the Batman, holy hormones, Batman. And I was walking around the lake, and I went, holy hormones, honey. And it just kind of stuck. And who would have thought I'd be garnering such national attention and international attention with a website with holy hormones, honey? But it turns out our hormones are sacred. They are the body's communicators. And in terms of all the obesity and the rates of obesity, folks, it's another form of hormone imbalance. It's not what we eat. It's not what we don't eat. It's not how much we exercise. It's not how much we don't exercise. It's how well our hormones communicate. And all of these things that we are doing to our bodies with vaccines, with medications, with estrogen mimickers in the environment, with the chemtrails, these are upsetting the delicate endocrine balance in our bodies. And, it's even in the Bible. And I love to talk about this because it's in Ecclesiastes, and Ecclesiastes talks about cycles. There's a time to give, there's a time to take. You know the passage that I'm referring to. That's what our planet is built on. And every cell in our body resonates with circadian rhythms. And we've become so disconnected from those rhythms and that dance of nature, that is our own really undoing. Because circadian rhythms and living in balance with those rhythms are really crucial to our health, and it's what I call a missing link that we haven't even explored yet. And really, I am talking way too long. You guys need to go back and do your thing, and I'll come on another day.
Well, we're looking forward to your coming on. Hopefully next week. Is it Botha or Botha?
It's Botha. Yes,
Botha.
It is Botha.
Folks, this is Leslie Carroll Botha. We'll cut you loose. God bless you. Thanks for checking in with us, and we'll get you back on to talk about this further. God bless you, and for your work and for everything you've done.
Yeah, so important.
And your website is holy.
Holyhormones.com, and I'm going to end with God bless all of you.
Thank you so very much.
Thanks.
All right. But ladies and gentlemen, and we kind of took a left turn there because Leslie Carroll Botha is a very, very popular, very in-demand person right now.
Yeah, and her report that's been published is linking vaccination toxins in vaccinations to causing deaths and illnesses in children. And I read this article today, and I went and found her. And I called her out of the blue, and I had a nice long talk with her. And, we talked about a lot of things, and she said she'd come on. Today wasn't a good day.
Right.
She said she could call in for a couple minutes today, and I wanted to give people an idea of who she is. This lady is so active. I mean, she has done so much. Like I said, reading her bio is like reading 10 people's life stories. I'm not even going to get into it all, but there's so many organizations and so many projects she is working on, and years of research for publishing this vaccination paper that she just came out with. And like you said, she is in high demand, and she will be in much higher demand as this article and information continues to make its way through the scientific community.
Yeah, I think
the government will not want this information released.
Exactly, and I just hope that she's careful, and I know that she will be. She's careful because this information is going to cost a lot of big business, a lot of big money.
Yeah,
and look. This woman has got the goods on the vaccinations. Her website, once again, is Holy Hormones. That's plural.com, and she does do, I think, a weekly radio show as well. But you're gonna be hearing about her in the news. Yeah,
and she'll be on our show next week, either Thursday or Friday, hopefully, and it will be an excellent show. And I want to share this with you guys. I just learned this while reading this passage or this sentence in Steve Quayle's book, Genetic Armageddon, and it talks about the word the old meaning of the word gene and the original meaning. It says it is interesting to note that even the name gene and Genesis are related, with both coming from the same Greek root.
Right.
Gene comes from genon, which means to produce, while Genesis is an actual Greek word that means generation or the coming into being. And I read that first sentence, and I said, it is interesting to note that even in their names, Gene and Genesis are related. But it's saying that, the genes genetically modified is produced instead of created,
right.
Where Genesis is the creation.
Yeah.
And I don't think I explained that.
No,
I'm
you
sorry,
didn't.
ladies and gentlemen.
You didn't. But anyway, so next week sometime again, we'll have Leslie both on again. Holyhormones.com. Although it has kind of an odd sounding name, there's a lot of health issues there, a lot of health articles in there, understanding your mind, your mood, your hormone cycle, even for guys. Okay, I'm telling you, it's an interesting website.
Yeah.
And the subheading there is the greatest story never told, and I think that's pretty appropriate for this.
Yeah, and she is a member of Truth About Gardasil, and she is one of 6 women who presented research and data to the FDA on the alarming statistics of Gardasil and cervix deaths, injuries, and harm in comparison to other vaccines. She was also, she went to London to speak at the British Society for Ecological Medicine conference, where she presented her science-based information and research on the dangers of the HPV vaccine. So she's an international speaker.
Yeah.
But, she is very active in this, and she will have so much to share.
And I think that, and I'm glad that she poked her head in today, because I think that, again, this gives you kind of like an insight of where it's going to go. And don't forget as well, while we're talking about future guests, next week on the 12th, that's Wednesday, Steve Quayle and Henry Groover, 9 to 12. We're going to be putting a promo up on that this week, or this weekend. But anyway, look, going back to where we were, we need to take a phone call.
Yeah, we've had a couple people on hold for a long time, and Mel and Lucy, thank you for being patient. We're going to start
take one.
We're going to start with Mel, who's been on hold the longest. Mel, you're on with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hey, brothers. How you guys been? How was your week?
Busy as usual, and of course
busy but blessed.
What's on your mind?
I just seen some images out of the Democratic National Convention. I heard some sound bites.
Right.
It gave me some motion sickness. And listening to that. What was her name? Debbie Schultz.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And we have more audio clips coming up. When we jump back in.
The way I interpreted her speech about answering the question about taking God out of the platform, it sounds like that their platform only respects the policies of, I guess, maybe an antichrist or a monster, or I guess the beast, the number of the beast.
Well, yeah, it's funny because people often say, well, they talk about faith. Now, see, they kept the words. They substituted faith, religion, for the word God, and the God, as it's referenced, or is it's supposed to be referenced, as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and it's a Christian God. It's a Judeo-Christian God. It's not the Muslim God. It's not the Earth God. It's not the God of PlayStation 3.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they deliberately took God out of the platform, and people say, well, wait a minute. Like she said, it was an oversight. No, it wasn't. You don't remove terminology from a platform, from a legal document. In that manner. So it was not an oversight. So she's either being disingenuous or she's lying, and I will say this is my personal opinion that she's lying. And if she's lying about that, she's also lying about Jerusalem as well.
And she said that in the Democratic National Convention, many of the policies represent the government. I know you guys, you shared a video clip about them saying that we all belong to the government.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if we all belong to the government, then doesn't that make us all slaves and the government the masters?
Sure. Yeah. Haven't you been told yet? Yeah. No, we are. Seriously, we're slaves. Number one, due to the money, due to the policies, due to the surveillance and security apparatus. So we're already slaves. We just have to.
Right. We're stuck in this system, and to say that we belong to the government is just ridiculous. We belong to the Lord.
That's right.
And the government is not God. And Larkin Rose, we played that audio of a 20-minute excerpt from his book, a book he wrote, and also I was in contact with him, and he'll be coming on the show in the next couple weeks. But anyway, he talks about how the people who go to church on Sundays and put a couple dollars in the collection plates and then go about their daily lives, watching terrible things on TV or listening to bad music, there is this huge disconnect from reality. And now we see the Obama Messiah thing. They're putting him up as a Messiah, and it's getting worse. We are going to start to see, people really, and they already do think he is some sort of Messiah, and this is getting bad. Like the opposition who is going after him is going to get increasingly is going to be attacked a lot more as we continue throughout this election process into November, as these diehard Obama supporters will do anything to get their point across while refusing to look at any information of truth about any crimes he's committed. I mean, their bias is so... I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, some supporters think that he is the Messiah, or the government is the Messiah. Like we're all one. Like it's one collective movement. Like they say, we're all one. That's what they said in the convention. I was just wondering. I guess if we're all slaves and the government is the master, what is Obama's plan? Like you see the slogan "Forward." I noticed that Mao, one of the great communist leaders in China, he was known for the Great Leap Forward that moved the society into a communist society. From what you guys been studying and from your contacts, what do you think Obama's plan forward is for America's society?
I think he wants to kill it.
Well, no, I suppose that you could say that. Look, what Obama is going to do, in my view, in our collective view, based on our investigations, is he is going, and I do suspect, we suspect that he will be reelected one way or the other, or he's going to be in office next year or the year after. That's my opinion. I know that you've got some differing, Joe, you've got some differing viewpoints on that. But regardless, his plan, you asked, whether or not he's able to carry it out, is the complete dismantling of this country and the socialization of this country to the advancement of the globalists.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question, Mel?
Yes, I believe you guys are getting close to a break now, so
indeed we are.
Let me go now.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, Mel,
for
the call. God bless you,
bless.
and we'll talk to you later. Ladies and gentlemen,
let's go ahead and take Lucy. Is she still there?
Yeah, she's there. We can go ahead and take
before
call.
the break, because
sure.
She's been holding for so long.
And if she wants to, she needs more time, we'll bring her back on after the break. So Lucy in Tennessee, you're on the air. How you doing, Lucy?
I'm good. I certainly am enjoying the program, and I wanted to tell y'all, this afternoon I heard a minister on Crane Durham's radio program called Nothing But Truth. You can find that on Facebook, Nothing But Truth. He had the 2008 and 2012 Democratic platform.
Right.
And he has studied it, and he said that when they put Jerusalem back in, that he looked at the 2008 and that it had said they would protect our country from the enemy Hamas.
Right.
And,
correct.
Muslim jihad and all that. They didn't put that back in this time.
Exactly. Well, that's an oversight, Lucy.
Oh, yes, an oversight,
yeah,
yes.
You're correct. Isn't it interesting that Hamas was, again, deliberately left out of that amendment, if you will, even the correction?
Yes.
Now,
yes.
What do you make of that, Lucy?
They know exactly what they're doing, and they want Obama, I believe, to let the Muslims take over America and us be under a caliphate.
Exactly. And you know, Lucy, can I add? Okay, now, boy, I'll tell you, very intelligent. Now, Lucy, once a caliphate is established, what's going to happen globally, do you think?
Well, I think all of us who love Jesus are going to be, our heads are going to be chopped off.
I'm going to tell you.
I'm ready.
Yeah, and we are. I think you're right. I think the answer I was going for, and you basically said it. We're going to see a war like we've never seen before. It's going to make the Crusades, or that's even the wrong thing to say, but you're right. We're going to see a war where they're going to pit the Muslims against everyone else.
Yes.
The Christians are going to be targeted. The Jews are going to be targeted in America as well as all over the country. And this, again, depopulation is going to be a big part of this.
And it is.
And Obama knows this. And Obama, look, folks, he's a communist and a Muslim.
And look at his name, Obama. I mean, he is an abomination.
I agree with that. I don't agree. I don't think he is a Muslim. I think he is a Satanist. But I mean, that's just my opinion.
Well, okay, he's a Muslim. Look, he's a Muslim by lineage, by parentage. It's like So there's no argument there.
I mean, if you were born to a father who was a Muslim and didn't want to be Muslim,
for example,
go. He had signs of not wanting to be a Muslim, though. I mean, he bows down. I think he is actually from Saudi Arabia. I think he's a Saudi Arabia plant.
That's interesting.
So he bowed down to that Saudi Arabia prince. And I think he covered up, continued to bow.
Yeah. Look, that bothered me a whole lot, and I don't think you have to be from Saudi Arabia to do that. But by doing that, he certainly acknowledged the kingship, the Saudi royalty over him. And you're exactly right, though, Lucy.
Is there anything else, Lucy, or do you want us to hold you over after the break?
I was going to just tell you, I had read the book Men Who Hate Women.
Oh, yeah, I got your email. Thank you for sending me the email today.
You're welcome.
What did you think of the book?
Well, actually, I lived with a man. I mean, my husband was like that. And I printed out the 41 things that Men Who Hate Women from his website today, and I was it was that book that woke me up, because I had been brainwashed so much by my husband, and he tried to kill one of my children, our children. But it just brought everything back. I thought he was excellent, and he's right on.
You know, Lucy, that's a program that everyone's going to have to listen to two or three different times, because there was so much information in there. But I'm so sorry that you had to live with someone like that, and but I'm glad you're still with us.
Yes. The Lord is so good, y'all, and He is our refuge. We don't need to fear anything.
No, we don't. No.
And I just praise the Lord for y'all. I just praise the Lord. So.
Well, thank you so much.
I know y'all need to. Thank y'all.
All right.
Okay.
Well, you take care. Have a good night. You know, thank you. Joe, I think, like I said, I love the people who call in. I love our callers. I think that they're informed. Lucy, she's a doll. And that's the first time today that, I mean, I did not realize what she went through personally. Of course, we don't know everyone personally.
No, everybody has a story, but our listeners, from what I have seen, are some of the most educated, most motivated, wonderful, loving, compassionate, God-fearing people I know. And that is saying a lot because
and we've done a lot of I've done a lot of radio. I've had a lot of different demographics, different audiences, and I'm not blowing smoke up any, because I don't need to do that, okay? But I've got to tell you, the people who we've found in this core audience of ours, they're you folks are very special. And that's so. Okay, in lieu of the break, and folks, hopefully our sponsors will understand this. Rather than wasting more time, we're going to play
the Debbie Wasserman Schultz Anderson Cooper interview that we were going to play right before we got the call from Miss Botha.
Okay, yeah, and please listen to this very carefully, because there are some things in here that you need to listen to. And we'll point them out.
Just to bring this back to what we were talking about, Debbie Wasserman Schultz pretty much lied to a CNN reporter about their plans for taking God out of the platform of the party platform, as well as not recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. She gave several interviews to several different people saying some very crazy things. But here is a disgusting interview given by Anderson Cooper.
Attention. Even it's disgusting.
Yeah, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Listen to what she says about Obama and Israel. It's about a 6-minute audio, so we're going to take our break. This is real important. We're going to play it now.
In lieu of the break.
Stay with us for hour number 2.
Anderson, I'm here with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, as you know, the chairwoman of the DNC. You're one of the most prominent Jewish lawmakers. How did you feel when you learned that the platform omitted Jerusalem as the capital of Israel?
Well, really, it was essentially a technical oversight, and President Obama, because he personally believes that Jerusalem is and always should remain the capital of Israel, he made sure that we amended the platform so that it would reflect his personal view, as well as reflect the language that we had in the platform in 2008, and goes on to say, as we had in the platform, and that has reflected decades of American policy for Republican and Democratic presidents, that essentially Jerusalem is the subject of final status talks between the two parties.
And the language on God you would call a technical oversight as well?
Yeah, the language on God, while we were amending the platform to include Jerusalem and the president's personal view, we also felt it was important to make sure that we made a reference there.
But isn't that frustrating, a technical oversight? I mean, the ramifications are somewhat serious. You open yourself wide for criticism from Republicans who say the president's moving away from Israel.
Listen, I'm so proud of our president's stellar record on Israel, and proud that our platform is 100% strong on the U.S.-Israel relationship, on making sure that Israel remains a Jewish and democratic state. We have even stronger language than the Republicans do on preventing Iran from achieving a nuclear weapon. So I was already extremely proud of this strong pro-Israel platform, and now I'm even more proud that President Obama wanted to make sure that it reflected his personal view that Jerusalem is and always will be the capital of Israel.
How was it overlooked?
You know, look, platforms are many pages long. The bottom line is that we've taken steps, we've amended it. President Obama felt it was important to reflect his personal view, and it's done, and we're moving forward and continuing this convention.
And what about the process of changing the platform? 3 voice votes that had to be done. There was some booing on the floor. I mean, that's obviously not what you want to be seeing. Discord here on what's really...
There wasn't any discord. You know, Mayor Villaraigosa, as he presided, in order to amend the platform, it takes a 2/3 vote. He had to just make sure that we...
All right, folks, that was Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That was the abbreviated version, apparently. There are some issues with the audio on that, but...
Yeah, and I had this clip uploaded. It had the same problem, and I took it off, re-uploaded it again, and it something was wrong, and didn't go through.
That's fine, but here's the issue with this, and we're off of video for right this moment, just until we come back. Here's the issue on this, and I want everyone to really understand this. If you are told, regardless of who you're talking to, if you're told that the Obama administration, in particular, and this does include Hillary Clinton, and it extends back to the Bill Clinton administration, and to a lesser extent the George W. Bush administration, all three administrations have waffled extremely, have waffled on the protection of Israel. Now, why do we want to protect Israel? Well, aside from the fact that Israel is, our ally in the Middle East, it's our only democracy in the Middle East. If we lose Israel as a strategic partner, there's nothing to stop the spread, and as Lucy pointed this out, of this grand Islamic caliphate. Now, they're not going to go down without a fight. They've got the Samson option. If you don't know, folks, if you haven't heard about the Samson option, that's basically scorched earth, mutual assured destruction. But without Israel, there will not be any. I'll just say this: there won't be any buffers. It's going to go right from this somewhat. I don't even want to say stable Middle East, but.
And I want to hit 2 points here. One, you mentioned earlier about the Israeli flag on our website, and two, the part that was cut off right before it got cut off. Debbie Wasserman Schultz made a comment, and she stated that Obama is the most pro-Israel president we've had ever. That he supports Israel more than any president in the history of America since Israel's been a country.
Well, he is actually cutting off military aid. We do send parts, we send assets to Israel. He's cutting that back. He's also sending aid to not only Egypt, and they're lining up on their borders to prepare for war, but he's also sending money to the, it's actually being funneled to Hezbollah and Hamas. Now, if that is being pro-Israel, then I don't know. That's certainly a lie by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And I think, again, this is part of the Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama State Department agenda of just destroying, annihilating Israel. But I would direct you to Genesis and also Lamentations as well. In the book of Lamentations, I don't know the chapter or verse, but it does talk about Israel and how we will not be there for Israel.
And I wanted to mention this about what you said about the flag on our website. People need to understand this. The support of Israel, us supporting Israel, we support the people of Israel, and we support the right of the Israelis to have the land that our Creator, the Lord and Savior, created and gave to them. Now, by us supporting Israel, we are not saying we support the Israeli government. We are not saying we support, anything that they do as a country that is bad. I mean, every government has criminal elements to them. We support the people, and we support God's nation. And if we don't, as it states in Genesis, God will bless those who bless Israel and curse those who curse Israel. And that is not the reason we have the flag there. We have the flag there because without Israel, like as you stated,
there would be no buffer, and the caliphate could be established. And
this is like somebody in, we'll say Afghanistan, who has a website who has an American flag on it, and they'll have to explain, look, obviously I don't support the evil American government. It's for the people, and it's deeper than just looking at it from that viewpoint. It seems to me that the person is missing a lot and not understanding how deep this really goes. I mean,
right. It does. It's
hard to explain.
It's biblical, and people have to. You've got to know your history. There is no Arab or no Islamic claim to the nation of Israel or to that land. Period. And if you go back in time, if you go back and look from the prior to 70 AD, when the first temple was destroyed, or if you go back in time and look at the claims to that land, it's all Israel, it's all Jewish claims. And the Balfour Agreement, and ultimately that resulted in Israel becoming a state in the United Nations Agreement. I mean, don't forget too, the day after they became a nation, they were attacked by 7 Arab countries. I mean, we have to support Israel. We have to support and pray for Israel. We also have to pray for our enemies, as it states in the Bible. Does that mean we like them? Support them? No, but we need to remember them and pray for them. Okay, we've got more people on hold. Let's welcome back, folks, to hour number 2 of the Hagmann Report, and we appreciate this is kind of a free-for-all Friday. Before we take a call, I want to mention this article out of the Associated Press, so out of left field. I'll post it in the link in the chat room right now. I forgot about this one. And fellows, ladies and gentlemen, listening live or on the archives, the title of the article is "No, Really, Government Warns of Zombie Apocalypse. The zombies are coming," says the Department of Homeland Security. Whoops, I accidentally brought on air 219 area code. I hit a button here in our newly designed studio and brought you on air. Caller from the 219 area code, you're on with Hagmann, the Hagmann Report. Area code 219, you're live with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hello?
Yes, hello. What's on your mind?
Hello?
Yes, what's on your mind? You're on the air.
Praise God, praise God. Let me lower this volume for a second.
Yes, hello. Okay.
Wow, where to begin?
Good question.
Where to begin? Wait a minute, let me just shut something down here. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Oh, okay. Praise God, praise God. Where do we begin? Where do we begin?
Well, what's the biggest point or the biggest thing on your mind? Let's start there.
Well, other than the tremendous overburden of the Lord that is apparent, that is in my soul and in my heart for this country. This thing with the Democratic Convention.
Yes.
When they were, jeering God like that, I just said to myself, man, we're gone as a nation.
Yes.
We're gone. We're gone. We're gone. I mean, it's just absolutely over. All we can do is I'm a man of God, so I can only address the people of God. Just read Ezekiel chapters 13 through 16, Jeremiah, and the Lamentations of Jeremiah. That's where we're at. Really, that's where we're at. We really got to be sure we're right with God. Because, folks, I'm telling you, folks, we're going to see plagues. We're going to see horror. We're going to see things that are so bad that the average lukewarm Christian that claims to know God is literally going to take his Bible, throw it in the middle of the street, and blaspheme the holy name of God. That's how fierce the anger and the outpouring of his fury is going to be upon this nation. We're in bad shape. Now, I don't know, what's your take on this whole situation?
I'm glad you brought that up because what you just said was something that I spoke with someone earlier, and America, in my opinion, is gone forever, as
at least
we've known it.
The spirit and the
laws,
yeah.
It's completely gone. It will never be America again, from what I believe, and that's because of biblical prophecy, of what I think is coming down the road, and where we are in the end times. And
yes.
But you know what, caller? You make a good point. You're going to have people, Christians, okay. You said lukewarm, but even the good Christians are going to be thrashing about and blaming God.
Yeah, and I want to add to this point because the lukewarm thing just reminded me of what I was going to say. This is such the biggest danger I see to the church, the lukewarm Christian, and that's probably 80% of the church at least. We have so many people who go to church on Sundays, put money in the collection plate, maybe do a Sunday school class, maybe do something nice, give food to a homeless shelter once in a while, and think that because they're good people and nice and go to church that they're going to go to heaven. But they don't have that personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And even a Christian who goes to church, you tell them that, they'll call you crazy.
You know what? I don't mean to cut you off there, Joe. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I know time is real short and you have other callers. But the overriding evidence of God's anger towards this nation is when I do happen to visit any church, I don't care what little religious label they want to put themselves under, the evidence of God's spirit is not there. When God is this angry, we're going to see a side of God. I'm telling you, we are going to see a side of God that does not exist in 99.9% of the Christian mentality theology that's in America today. God has removed his presence from this country. But on top of the Illuminati and the global Satanists and all the vaccines, and all of that is true. And I know that the Satanists and the Illuminati have thrown their trump cards and they want to play certain type of cards. The main card that has been thrown on top of the table is the card from the Supreme Being. And it is terror, it is horror, and I just want everybody really take spiritual inventory of your life. Make sure that you truly love God. Remove any type of idol, any type of pornography, anything that is wrong with God. Get right with God, because we're going to see the holy, omnipotent Father pour out some devastating, catastrophic events of apocalyptic proportions. We really are.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree too. And caller, I just want to let you know I looked up the definition of lukewarm, and aside from the liquid part, there's two parts, one liquid. The second one is for people. It says having an attitude or action or unenthusiastic, meaning they're unmotivated and they don't have that desire or drive to learn more, to grow more in the word of the Lord and in the relationship with Jesus Christ.
Well, you know what? And caller, look at, you mentioned earlier, starting out the Democratic National Convention. One of the authors, the head of the committee was former Ohio Governor Ted Strickland, and he's an ordained Methodist minister. And he's responsible in whole or in part of removing the word God from that platform.
It's frightening. Guys, and I'm going to leave after this, but when I seen that, I'm neither Republican or Democrat. I'm like Gerald Celentic says, a political atheist, because both parties are corrupt. They both have their hands in the cookie jars. But when I seen that Democratic convention, when they mentioned God, and the way the people were cheering, I said, oh my God, it's over. It is so over. I almost feel like crying right now. It is so over. We don't even realize how over it is. And may the Lord just keep all of you guys.
God bless you.
Thank you so much
for the call. I'm glad I accidentally brought you in.
Yeah, that was an excellent call.
Good call.
And he called
that was God.
He made some excellent points. I mean, he's right on the money. Abortions, what we've allowed to have happen to babies in this country and around the world through abortions, through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, meaning population control methods that target children, the child kidnapping rings that are there's child sex slave rings, and that's something that the lady that called in earlier that's going to be a guest, Miss Botha, is going to be talking about. She set up a foundation for children who were kidnapped and put in these child kidnapping rings to help them, recover from those.
You know what, folks? I didn't believe this. I did not believe the extent of these child kidnapping and sex rings, and I started to get involved in some investigations, and all of a sudden I'm like, I just can't believe the depth of the depravity of these people. If you've got money and you've got power, what follows is this pedophilia. It's almost like it's 1, 2, 3 in Washington D.C. It's prevalent.
And I don't know if I ever have even told you this, but I started to look into these rings, child kidnapping rings for sex trafficking in the government, and what I found from the Pentagon to the CIA, I got to a certain point where I could not research any further because it was just, I couldn't do it.
Well, aside from the fact that it's disturbing, it's so in-depth. I mean, the depth is incredible.
We look at the Penn State scandal. Jerry Sandusky, assistant coach at Penn State, for, 19, 20 years, abused and raped children in Penn State University. Yeah. Not only that, he pimped out these children to big donors of the program. All the coaches and staff knew. The DA knew years before this was ever exposed. This is a small example of probably something that happens in every major university, in every major political government agency, and it is just terrible. And I know in the UK it's really bad too. I get email updates about this from the UK from one wonderful lady who puts all this information together and sends it out to a bunch of people.
Right.
And it's so hard to really get into that subject because it turns your stomach. I mean, who can be so evil that they want to destroy a child for their own sexual pleasures? I mean, we think about how long we're on this earth and how long that time is compared to how long humans have been around, compared to eternity. Now, for however many minutes of pleasure, whether it be the adrenaline of robbing a bank or beating someone up or committing sin, those short instances of committing sin, is it worth spending your rest of your eternity in hell? Absolutely not. Not when there is a greater alternative, the most wonderful, loving, compassionate person, Lord in the world, Jesus Christ. He is there to forgive you of your sins. All you have to do is ask and then turn your life and will over to Him, and He will guide you in the right direction. But instead, people wish to live by their own desires and lusts, submit to temptation instead of trying to better themselves.
Well, exactly, and I think that we have to put everything in perspective. And I think that right now what we've got, and looking back today, I was looking back at the programming that we did this week. Yesterday, in particular, we had the 3-hour program with Steve and Dr. Paul Hagstrom. And, I don't know, folks, if you went on his website, John Ritter played him in a CBS movie.
Really?
The guy, I mean, he was facing murder or attempted murder charges. I mean, that's how bad this man was. And I got the nice email from Lucy. I mean, the veterans angle is very important to this this post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah,
but you've got something else there with respect to veterans that you're going to get into here.
Oh yeah,
that we
executive
really need
order
to talk about. Yeah, folks, have you seen this recent executive order? I don't know. This must be executive order number 904 or 905. I mean, this guy is just outrageous. He's governing by executive fiat here.
Yeah, and as soon as my computer unfreezes, which should be in a second, President Barack Obama issued an executive order on August 31st, 2012, improving access to mental health services for veterans, service members, and military families, okay? Now, it sounds nice on face value. They're going to help improve health care access to people who serve the country. But in this, in the literature, in this executive order, it talks about they are going to expand their health services to veterans with the aim of getting 100,000. They use an example. They want to get, the first goal is 100,000 veterans to be diagnosed with some form of post-traumatic stress syndrome, traumatic brain injury, or other mental conditions or diagnosis that are related to war and trauma. And it is a coordinated effort between the Department of Education, Department of Health and Human Services, DHS, and many other organizations. I'll post the link of this in the chat room, and it is Executive Order.
I'm not sure you're going to find it on there.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's been published yet.
You can actually go to the whitehouse.gov website and look up, they've got a special section for executive orders, and you can actually see the text of the executive order. But again, you're talking about a method right now, what I would call an attack against the veterans. And when I say that, an attack that, a coordinated attack to, and you know what I really, folks, I'm not sure about, and maybe you folks could help me out here. And if you want to give me a call and give me your thoughts on this. By the way, our phone number is 661-244-9839. What, you know, we it seems like we are in a state of perpetual warfare. In all the research that I've been doing with respect to the ammunition orders, which I've got some additional information on that, some comparative history and some notes, with all the things that are taking place, what's the government's plans for the veterans? Are they number one trying to destroy them? And it sounds ridiculous me asking this. Are they trying to destroy our veterans, or are they trying to? What are they trying to do to our veterans? Why? Why are the veterans being listed on the terrorist watch list as? Because, but I know why. We know why. More here.
Because they've been trained by the government to do exactly. If there's a revolution, who will be the people most prepared and most able to be in combat? Okay, veterans, people who have already experienced it.
But here's my problem.
It's like Al Qaeda.
You take a certain age group, let's say between 18 and 30, and you send them over to war, and you bring them back. Let's say the majority of them have post-traumatic stress disorder, or the majority of them have some sort of mental issues, or the majority, or not even the majority, or some of them have physical wounds. Okay, we are actually destroying a segment of our population. Now, I guess, maybe a different question would be, what's the government's plans for the veterans upon their return?
Think about this. They serve in the military for 5, 10, 20 years, don't have a pension, no retirement plan usually,
right?
Unless you're a high military brass. They come back, they get treated as though they're, some sort of how these people look at the babies with the afterbirth abortion, some burden on society, when they are the people who have put their lives on the lines to protect the freedoms and this way of life that we are seeing being destroyed by the government. It is absolutely disgusting. And as Henry Kissinger said, military men are dumb, stupid animals to be used as tools for foreign policy, or as pawns for foreign policy. I mean, these people, the globalists, they look at veterans like they look at the rest of society. Useless eaters is what they call us. They want the population gone. They want to turn themselves into transhumans so they can, make themselves half robots and live forever on this earth so they don't have to go to hell or face judgment. They think that's going to save them from judgment, that they can create and turn themselves into robots, and that Jesus does not have the power to take them away and judge them after they do this.
Well,
And with Lucifer and the worshiping of Satan that is involved in these people's lives, they are led to believe that their God, Satan, who they worship, is more powerful than God. And it is just complete deception upon deception. I mean, the people who are deceiving us are deceived themselves. And, it's just, the evil has no end. Just like God's love has no end.
No.
And hopefully we can do things to bring people closer to the Lord individually. Aside from that, I don't know how to better help this nation. I don't think it can be helped to the point to bring it back anywhere near where it was. I don't see any positive things in our near future, or if we'll even have a future, a 15-year, 20-year future of America. Will it break up? Will it be invaded? Will it, collapse into a third world nation? I mean, these are the scenarios we're looking at with what we see going on with the economy and the wars and all this that's going on. It's one of those pillars are going to collapse, and it's going to bring the rest of it down.
Well, of course, but you say, well, is there going to be a future? I guess I'm not exactly certain of your words, but of course there's going to be. It's just going to be a question of the quality of life that we're going to have, and I think as watchmen we have to look and we have to prepare people. And the one thing I did want to mention as well, with respect to what's going on in terms of the drumbeat of war. Our sources have been talking about some sort of preemptive attack by Israel, and this is unvetted information. I just want to say this right now. We have not been able to confirm this, but sometime within the next 3 weeks. All right? Now, that puts us into, I would say, the end of September, early October.
Yeah, you're saying...
I'm saying that there's going to be some sort of preemptive attack by Israel, according to one source. I've got one source.
So a source is saying
yes,
there will be some kind of preemptive strike,
and it's going to take place at the same time, or at about the same time as some military maneuvers. Now, I understand that America and Israel are scheduled to have military exercises. I don't recall exactly when that is, and I do know that Obama had scaled that back, our involvement in that back, and we also have decided not to send them missiles or some defensive equipment. Now, having said that, that has, according to my source, has hastened Israel's decision to preemptively perhaps strike Israel. Now, is that verified? No, I don't have verification of that.
And as I stated,
this is what I would have heard
at the beginning of the show, many people feel this pressure, this unidentifiable frustration, stress, imminent type, something's wrong type feeling. And, it could just be the extra energy that's in the air as the times are moving faster and things are changing like we've never seen in the history of the world, as this age is coming to an end, as the Bible states. Who knows? But for so many people all across the country don't know each other. Some of them aren't even informed, and I see people, and I've read emails where a dream will wake them up, and then they go look at something and say, "Oh my gosh, this is really." I mean, it's amazing the way the Lord works individually in each and every one individual's lives. But we need to watch.
I think
for
even
these
Michael
signs. We need to watch.
Talking about it with dreams.
We need to be open to communication from the Lord, and to do that, we need to be repent. We need to be grateful. We need to, be repentful. We need to be humble and be meek and follow His will. And we have to do that in order to receive His voice, hear His voice, I believe, for the most part. Unless He's angry at you and He really wants you to know something, then He'll let you know.
Now, giving some more hard intelligence to kind of buttress what I said, right after Obama announced these drastic cuts, again, in the number of U.S. troops that are going to be participating in military exercises with Israel, Obama sent planes into Egypt for Egypt, and we are going to be training with Egyptian military forces. Now, this is in reference to an operation named Eagle Arena 2012. It's an exercise that marks the first military interaction between us and Egypt since Mubarak was president. So it also means that we're officially in joint training exercises with a Muslim Brotherhood-led country.
Wow.
So go figure that.
Well, I got a piece of good news here, if you'd like to hear.
I hope so.
The Department of Defense assures journalists that they're not spying on us.
Well,
the Pentagon issues an official response to defense reporters' concerns that their phone calls and emails might be tapped in order to close leaks. The Department of Defense does not conduct electronic or physical surveillance of journalists. Pentagon press secretary.
Why would they? They're
in a letter.
On the side. They're on their same side. So.
Well, we have already seen statements and things by Cass Sunstein where they say they have infiltrated media outlets and different media groups. We see in the lexicon, 2009 DHS Domestic Terrorism and Extremism lexicon, they list all the alternative media as a possible domestic enemy.
But they're not
saying
talking
that
about
anybody who
alternative media. They're talking about the
They
media.
say any alternative media source that does not promote the ideas
Correct.
of the mainstream media is a possible domestic extremist, and they list it in the Department of Homeland Security domestic extremism report.
Right, and that doesn't that's just not from 2009 or even 2008. We're talking about now reports, and we're seeing the reports, the for official use only reports that are naming pro-lifers and I want to again to kind of segue with what you said. Alternative media sources are under active surveillance, both audio and physical surveillance by the FBI, by the Department of Homeland Security assets. Alex Jones, for example, is under surveillance. I will tell you right now, and he knows it.
Yeah.
There's a couple people. I can't remember if. I've got not a list, but I was told that there were.
And it's more than surveillance. I mean, what we're talking about here is a full-scale. I mean, they set up on somebody, they target somebody, they will tap their phones, cell and house. They will tap into their TVs, into whatever machines.
And you think we're crazy? I don't want you to think we're crazy because
go look up the article. The head of the CIA says we're spying on you through your appliances, and you do the research on this. And I'm going to add a short point here. When we talk about stuff, and people might not get it or understand it, please, if you have time, do the research yourself. Don't listen to us. Do the research. Talk to the Lord about it. But the CIA has said that they can spy on you pretty much through any electronic device you own, especially the newer models of things that are coming out. Now, do they use those for every single person and every single piece of equipment? No. But if maybe they're starting to look at somebody and they want to target them for surveillance, there's probably a simple switch they press to activate their whatever it is, reverse monitoring systems in these appliances.
They used to be called infinity microphones. Believe it or not, we used to see these in our when I was an operational asset with the Department of Justice. There was the infinity mics were in use where, for example, let me give you an example. Someone from the FBI, we'll say, could call your home phone, and your home phone would never ring, but it would activate a microphone inside your telephone. Now, the same type of devices are in other appliances as well.
We have a question.
You think I'm nuts, but that's true. What?
From RoboMom, she asks, what does it mean when your landline rings and the caller ID shows the landline's own number? I'm assuming, like, it would be if somebody called our landline, it would show up as a call from our number.
Right.
And that goes to what you just stated.
I don't mean to laugh, RoboMom. I just think of that movie where the killer's in the house, the same house, and anyway. No, what that usually is, there's two possibilities here. Number one, there is a possibility that you've got a I want to say a loop, but that's not the right word. When I was trained and took some training in technical surveillance, that there's with your phone lines, it could be a simple innocuous thing. The other thing, okay, if that's the case, it should only happen maybe once, or it'll happen all the time. And if it happens all the time, your phone company could find out what it is, but that's innocuous. But the other thing, look, they've got places you can go. In fact, you can go on the internet right now and spoof your own telephone, or call someone, and through the internet, make it look like you're calling from, the White House, for example.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, when that happens, that's more of an internal line problem than anything else. So I wouldn't get too concerned about that.
Yeah.
Hopefully that answers your question. I wanted to thank Jennifer for sending me this. Jennifer from Riverside, California. When she said, when you were talking about the possible attack by Israel, we are entering the most fateful 50 days since the Yom Kippur War, says senior Israeli official. And this is, Joel Rosenberg published this today. Evidence continues to mount that an Israeli preemptive strike against Iran's nuclear program is increasingly likely before the U.S. elections in November. So this does back up with what our sources are saying. Iran's doubled their uranium enrichment capacity and has hardened their facilities. Israel's 14-member Security Council met Tuesday for 10 hours to discuss the latest intelligence on the Iranian nuclear threat. Also, let's see here, also some top military and political officials from Israel said that they believe the fate of Israel or the conflict with Iran will be decided within the next 50 days. And folks, do not worry about...
Time flies. We know how quick that comes.
That's right. And don't worry about the Jewish high... I've been getting emails and calendars about the Jewish high holidays. No, we're not... Don't worry about that. Do not plan, and this is something somebody from Israel had told me, don't plan or don't hang potentials with respect to Jewish high holidays. Don't worry about that. There's not necessarily any ties, any relation. So I wanted to bring that up. But I want to thank you, Jennifer from Riverside, California, a new listener, and thank you so much for that information.
We have a few callers on hold, and we're getting towards the end of the show. We got about 15 minutes left. I want to hear from Sheila and from Dave. So I guess Sheila's been on hold the longest, so let's take her.
Yeah, we'll take Sheila. Sheila, you're on with Doug and Joe Hagmann.
How you know it was me?
We've got one of those spy devices that we.
You do?
Yeah, we do.
Now we have caller ID.
Hey, your hair looks nice tonight, Sheila.
Is the number 888-888-8888?
No, it's 666.
Nope, it's the regular call-in number.
Yeah, what can we do for you? What's on your mind, Sheila?
Well, I called you about the convention, but you was just talking about our soldiers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last I heard, there was so far 2,000 soldiers picked up, claiming they got mental problems and whatnot. But Stuart Rhodes got in the middle of that when that, what's his name, Brandon Robb got taken in. Yes. He got involved in that. So the word has gotten out, and we just pray that our soldiers across this country that's seeing that going on starts to wonder and think about what's happening with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That they'll pick up that they're being targeted, and there's no doubt the Fed is afraid that the military is going to, side up with the American people. That's what that's all about. No doubt about it.
Okay. That makes sense because.
Yeah. That's why. What's the first thing they do? They go and take their guns.
Well, yeah. But I guess
they can't fight without a gun.
But Sheila, help me out with this. Okay, you've got this age group, 18 to 30. These young men, promising young men. They send them over to war. They bring them back. They're minus an appendage, a leg, an arm, a wrist, a finger, or whatever. I don't understand. I mean, what?
I mean, I do understand, and it's the threat that they pose, and this new executive order being put for the Veterans Health Service, even state this is their goals to increase the number of patients, mental health patients that are veterans, by 50%.
That I understand.
They want to expand the capacity.
But I guess my problem is with the physical impairments of these soldiers.
Well, we're talking about mental here.
Well, I understand that, but my question earlier was what's the plan? But Sheila, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine. With our soldiers, the young people, the real young people, I kind of worry about.
Right.
You know, because they've come up a whole lot different than what my husband came up with. But they ain't worried so much about our soldiers that's coming back with their legs and arms blown off and whatnot. I mean, they do need help in that area, but they're targeting our military because of the weapons. They know they've got weapons, and they're using that as their reasoning to get the weapons. They know they ain't got mental problems, and I'm just hoping that Stuart Rhodes and all the Oath Keepers, he called on all Oath Keepers across his country to come to this particular courthouse over this Brandon Robb.
Right.
And so hopefully, you know, it'll get out that our soldiers will hear about that and say, wait a minute, you know, why are they going after our brothers?
Sheila,
I
would hope that would be the case, but unfortunately, for most, I think they are so far indoctrinated, so far loyal, trained.
Well, wait. Let me ask
this.
Let me ask this, Sheila. What do you think? And I'm gonna pose this question to all listeners out there, and you don't have to call in or anything like that. I'm taking kind of a right turn here a little bit, Sheila. If we brought all of our soldiers back home, and if they were given the order to confiscate our guns or to initiate martial law, what percentage of those soldiers do you think would go along with that?
Oh, I think if any of them that would go along with that would be our young soldiers.
Okay.
That went in the military out of high school because of the kind of training that they're getting. See, here's the thing. The reason why I say that is this situation with this Brandon Robb, there was a Colonel Benson on this particular base
right.
was telling his officers that the Tea Party movement were terrorists.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it got out. Stuart Rhodes heard of it, and of course they was right down. I mean, they put a big billboard outside right outside the base, and they put his name up there saying what he was doing was treasonous. And this is the kind of stuff leadership in the military is doing, but it's the young soldiers that I would worry about.
Okay.
The older ones, not so much. The soldiers that's over there now, they're married, they got families back here. They know what's going on. Their families has got to be telling them what's going on.
I would think so.
Exactly.
Okay.
They'd probably be reduced to writing letters instead of emailing each other because they're being watched at this.
Welcome to CUBN.
There we go.
Right.
Are we back?
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please enter your host PIN. When finished, press the pound key.
Go ahead. It's
okay. We'll do that.
5.
Can you hear us now?
I'm sorry, but I did not hear you press at least 4 digits of your PIN number.
All right. Hold on here.
I'm sorry, but I did not hear you press at least 4 digits of your PIN number. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
And I don't know if we got cut off or not. The sound is on?
All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay,
so we're not on Blog Talk anymore.
Yeah.
Keith Hansen called in, and we were trying to put him on the group call, and it cut off Blog Talk somehow.
Yeah, and you're showing our PIN number here. We got to get rid of that.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. I guess the people listening, well, thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah.
We only got a couple minutes, 5 minutes left of the show, and I'm going to type in the chat about getting cut off and being done. But don't forget to join us next week with Henry Groover and Steve Quayle on Wednesday.
Yeah, and I'm going to be on, and for those still hanging with us on the network, I'm going to be on Joyce Riley's Power Hour on Monday. Her show, Dr. Joyce Riley. I'll be on her show on Monday morning, so that should be pretty good. I think that starts at 10 o'clock in Eastern time. I'll be on for an hour, so that should be fun. And I'm not, and I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for taking us off. Now let's see here if we can bring back the video here. There we go. All right, so. And Keith Hansen, I screwed it up when I went to pick his call up accidentally, and there we have it.
But I want to thank everybody over here at Cuban Christian United Broadcasting Network.
How do we look, by the way, in terms of the video quality, folks over there? Do we look pretty good? Because we did put high definition cameras, or we do have high def cameras here. And I'll tell you what, we try to do our best here. Let's see. Why don't you go ahead and take this, Joe? I don't
take what?
Did somebody just?
No, you got somebody sent you a notification. That's a notification. Hit this button.
All right.
Somebody sent you typed you a message, and you might want to type to Keith, tell him we got cut off. But I want to.
Well, I thought he knew that.
I don't think he did. We told him to call back, and we got cut off right then. But
all right.
Cuban, we want to expand Christian United Broadcasting to as far as we possibly can. And Troy, if you would like, maybe the end of next week, maybe you can come on the show and talk a little bit about your ministry, your work, and how you want to expand it, and what your goals are, and what we can do to help you.
We do want to hear more about your goals and your ideas. Answer?
He won't hear us. No. Well, Keith Hansen.
Okay.
Keith Hansen's calling in. If we bring him on, I'll.
Welcome to CUBN.
We're going to bring you on, Keith. We're going to bring you on to the Christians United Broadcasting Network, which we're simulcasting on. So you do have not dead air, but you do have. We are talking with listeners as we're being simulcast in the Christians United Broadcasting Network. Can you hear me, Keith?
Can you hear us on Blog Talk Radio? People in the chat room, can you hear us?
Keith, okay, it says Colin.
Yes, in chat and BTR, they say they can hear us. Yeah, and they say somebody else was talking before we came back on.
Well, how do we get this call off hold?
You would have to end.
Keith, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right,
good Lord.
We're with Blog Talk Radio and Keith.
We're back, Keith.
And we got about 30 seconds.
So come on, folks, this is Keith Hansen. Sorry for screwing everything up. Keith Hansen from the Keith Hansen Show.
Hey, how are you guys? Hey, real quick, I just wanted to let you know, I wanted to invite everybody to check the show out tomorrow at keithontheair.com. We got a great show coming up. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about why Obama and his people are correct when they say that the country is better off than we were 3.5 years ago. I'm going to talk about that and why. You know what I thought about it? And it's absolutely correct. They're true, and we're going to talk about that. I also have Craig Burnson, who was the education coordinator at Huffman Aviation. This is the company that taught Muhammad Atta how to fly. Don't forget, next Tuesday is the 11th anniversary of September 11th. So we're going to talk to Craig, who was actually responsible for signing Muhammad Atta up for flight lessons. And then I'm also going to be joined by Tommy Harris Jr., who was one of the heads of the New York Iron Workers Local 40. These were the guys who were responsible for cutting through the wreckage of the ground zero so that rescue crews could get through there and find survivors and find bodies. He's got an amazing story. He's also written a book. So he's going to be my guest tomorrow on the Keith Hansen Show at noon Eastern Time.
Folks, you heard that. Our friend Keith Hansen, one of us, in fact, go to HomelandSecurityUS.com, find the Keith Hansen, link to the Keith Hansen Show, go over there, like his Facebook, tune in tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. We are a minute over. I don't know how we're staying on the air, Keith, but we are. But I'm getting a notification here now that we are going to be going dead in about 15 seconds. I want to thank you for calling in and letting us know that.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks,
Talk to you.
Thank you. God bless.
All right. And folks, thank you very much for listening to the Hagmann Report. I apologize for screwing up the video, the audio, and all of the buttons. We will stay away from the buttons.
The whole show.
Joe will keep me away from the buttons from now on. God bless.